Hello, Math 1060 class. Let's do Part B, Final Exam Review. Christy Joe deposits $150 each month into an ordinary annuity to save for a new car. So that's the payment. If the annuity pays a monthly rate of 0.93%, and notice that says monthly rate, so we have to multiply that by 12 to get the annual rate. How much will she be able to save in 2 years? Assume the compounding is done monthly. All right. So let's go to the solver. And on mine, I go to Apps, Finance, Solver. But if you have the other calculator, just go to Menu, Finance, TBM Solver. So what about N? It's 2 years monthly, so N should be 2 times 12. I, be careful with the I, it's actually 0.93 times 12. And this is an annuity problem, so the present value should be 0. It's like a savings account. The payment amount is $150, so make that negative $150 because we're taking it out of our wallet. We're looking for the future value, so we'll leave that as 0 for now. And remember, the last two numbers should be 12s because we're doing this monthly. So go back up to future value and alpha enter it. Or just press enter if you have the other calculator. And you should get 4,012.61. At least in my problem. Suppose a woman has decided to retire as soon as she has saved $1,100,000. Her plan is to put $900 away every month into an ordinary annuity that pays 2.3% annually. So this time they did give us the annual rate. How many years will she be able to retire? So once again, TBM solver. N in this case is actually the unknown because I'm trying to figure out how long it's going to take. I is the annual rate, 2.3%. This is an annuity. Present value is 0. But it says she can put away $900 every month, so that's negative $900. Future value, she wants to save $1.1 million. And the last two should be 12s, just like on the last problem. So go back up to N and alpha enter it. And I get 630.21. But remember, that's in months. So you want to divide that by 12 to put it in years. And the problem does say round to the nearest year, so you should get about 53. If Sandy can afford car payments of $440 per month for 6 years, what is the price of the car that she can afford now? Assume a 7.5% rate. So really this is a loan problem because we're saying how much can she borrow? She can pay $440 a month for 6 years. So solver, once again. And the N is going to be 6 times 12 because it's the number of periods and we're doing this monthly. I, 7.5. Present value. Now remember, this is a loan problem, so the present value is actually what we're looking for. That's the unknown. How much can she borrow for the car? So go ahead and put a 0 right now. But it does say she can afford payments of $440 per month, so make it negative. And the future value of a loan problem is almost always 0. And just leave the last two as 12s. Now go back up to present value and alpha enter it. That's what I get. And it does say round to the nearest dollar. So I'm going to put in 25,448. This is all finance stuff. Find the monthly house payments necessary to amortize an 8.4% loan of this much over 20 years. So we're looking for the monthly payment. So your house costs that much, and you're offered an annual rate of 8.4%. So what are your payments? So solver. Well, 20 years monthly is the N. 8.4% is the I. Present value, remember in a loan problem, your present value is the amount borrowed. And this is definitely a loan problem, a mortgage problem. But we're looking for the payment, so zero it out. And this is a loan problem, so the future value should be 0. And as usual, the last two should be 12s. It's not always 12, but on these mortgage problems, it almost always is. So go back and find the payment. This is what I get. That looks about right. Let's do number 5. Find the monthly payment and estimate the remaining balance. So we have a 4-year computer loan for $32.59 at 6%. Remaining balance after 2 years is part 2. So it's a 2-part problem. The first part is find the monthly payment if you borrow this much money for 4 years at 6%. So let's do that first. So what is in? Well, it's a 4-year loan monthly. Interest rate is 6%. It is a loan problem, so $32.59 is the present value. The payment is what we're looking for, so put a 0 there. But remember, the future value on a loan problem, 0. And the last two should be 12s, as usual. But I get $76.54 for my monthly payment. Part B, what is the remaining balance after 2 years? Okay, so what do we do? Well, I'll show you. Go ahead and leave everything in the calculator exactly the same. The only thing you're going to do is go back and change the N from 48 to 2 years. Because remember, the entire length of the loan is 4 years. So just change that to 2 times 12. Because we're trying to figure out what the future value is after 2 years. And your answer is the future value when N is 24. So go ahead and put in 24 for N and then go back to future value. It's going to change from 0 to something else. And mine changes to this. So that's how much you still have left to pay after 2 years. And actually it says round to the nearest dollar, so let me make that $17.27. Assume you are rolling 2 dice. One is red, the second one is green. Use a systematic listing to determine the number of ways you can roll a total less than 12. How many ways can you do it? So they're not asking us for a probability. It's how many ways. Less than 12. Okay. So, it sounds like what we should do is count the number of ways for it to be equal to 12 and then subtract that from the total number of ways or the total number of outcomes that we would get when we roll 2 dice. So when we roll 2 dice, each one has 6 faces. There are 36 outcomes. All right, and keep in mind each die is a different color. So 1-3 is different than 3-1. But there's only one way to get a 12, right? 6-6. So there are 35 ways to not get a 12. And if it's not a 12, it has to be less than 12. Using the digits 0 through 9, determine how many 3-digit lock combinations are possible according to the following criteria. So we've got 3 digits. Probably want to use a slot diagram for this. 1 cannot be used for the first digit. That means we only have 9 choices because we cannot use the number 1. But otherwise, digits may be repeated. So I believe the last 2 are going to be 10s because you have a total of 10 digits there. The only real restriction is that 1 cannot be used for the first one. So that leaves 9 left. But digits can be repeated and we can use the 1 for either of the last 2. So it looks to me like 900. Radio stations that are on the east side of a nation have call letters consisting of a W followed by 4 letters. How many different call letters of this type are possible? And the W can be used again. So really, for the W, the first one is just one choice. It has to be a W. But the other 4 can be anything, and we can use the W again. So it looks like 26 to the 4th. If a club consists of 18 members, how many different arrangements of president, vice president, and secretary are possible? Okay. Well, one way to do this is just to choose 3 out of 18 people, but make the order matter. Because the first person has to be the president, the second one has to be the vice president, and so on. So plug that into a calculator. And hopefully you remember how to do that. It's pretty easy on either calculator. The other way to do that is just like this. President, vice president, and secretary. You have 18 to choose for the president. Once the first person has been chosen, it's 17 and then 16. But I think that still ends up being 4896. License plate tags in a particular state consist of 3 letters followed by 3 digits, with repeated letters and digits allowed. How many different license plate tags are there possible in this state? So 3 letters followed by 3 digits. That sounds like 6 symbols total. With repeated letters and digits allowed. So there's no restrictions at all. I know there's 26 letters. I know there's 10 digits. So that's the answer. An election ballot asks voters to select 5 city commissioners from a group of 18 candidates. And how many ways can this be done? It doesn't sound like the order matters because they're being assigned the same job. So we're choosing 5 out of 18 people. So that's it. Plug that into a calculator. A town is forming a committee to investigate ways to improve public safety in the town. The committee will consist of 4 representatives from the 6-member town council, 3 members of a 4-person citizens advisory board, and 3 of the 11 police officers. So I wrote each factor down as I read the sentence or the phrase. How many ways can the committee be formed? That many ways. Last one on this video. From the 10 male and 11 female sales representatives for an insurance company, a team of 3 men and 2 women. So we've got 10 men total and 11 women. Well, we're going to choose 3 men and we're going to choose 2 women. So how many ways can we select the 5 people? Well, we're choosing 3 out of the 10 men. We're choosing 2 out of the 11 women. That's it. So that does it for video B.